Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Alex Dripchak, who's the co-founder of Commence, a life after college academy for college students. Alex, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mike. Nice to be here today. Looking forward to our discussion.
Yeah, me too. I really like your approach helping college students because I really feel like that is such a huge field, because you come out and at the time of this recording, one of my daughters has graduated college about 9 months ago, had coffee yesterday with two of her friends that graduated just a couple months ago, and they were all in the same boat going, wow, we thought things would be different, and the doors just aren't opening. So I'm excited to talk to you to see what you're doing. Give us a little bit of background first, though, on your entrepreneurial journey, and then what led you to co-found Commence.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And I just wanted to briefly touch on your daughter's not alone.
Yeah.
A lot of students are kind of led down this path of pursuing college as a race in and of itself, where it's really a means, a lever, a tool to use to your advantage to help you in your next step in your career. But a lot of students, right through senior year are pursuing their grades, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh man, I wish I knew earlier, how to network and how to interview and how to present to get a job. So trying to reappropriate and reorient people's minds on pursuing their professional development earlier. But yeah, to answer your question on the entrepreneurial journey, it's really kind of an interesting one. So, all along, I had friends that were in career centers, and they always said, hey, I call these people and they hang up on me saying, you didn't help me get a job, or I'm in debt because of you, and I couldn't find something that's going to be able to pay me back. Why would I give you money for donations? You've already taken $60,000 a year from me, whatever it may be. So I heard that, and I was always like, somebody should do something about this. There has to be a better way. And when I started at Mercer, actually, my first day was the same day as my co-founder. We sat right next to each other, and probably about a month in, we started talking, and he was mentioning this idea of, at that time, it was a little bit more of a mentoring platform of putting students in touch with professionals in the fields that they want to be in. And it was funny. I just kept snapping my head back and forth, asking a question every time. And soon enough, we had about 20 questions, and I was extremely interested in, about an hour's worth of discussion. And then I said, let me think about this. And then about a month later, I said, I'd really be interested in getting started. So the rest was history after that.
Yeah. And I think if you guys had just kind of been distracted or had other aspirations, you never would have noticed something that was right there in front of you. So I always am intrigued when you hear, I was sitting there one day and thought or noticed that someone said or didn't say, or this was in the market, but not the way that it could be. So I really love hearing that comment. And then I'm on your website, and I just absolutely love the opening headline, your dorm room to boardroom action plan. So this is not how to get into the best college so you can go get a job. This is, all right, you're about ready to get done with college, so we're going to move from your dorm room to where? Where do you want to go? Now, boardroom doesn't necessarily mean, you're the CEO or owner, but it's that mindset. It's corporate America. It is, getting that first job. So talk a little bit about that approach. What are the students that are coming in contact with your website? What are some of the first things that they need and that they will experience?
Yeah, it's a great question, and thanks for bringing it up. So for us, it's really this 11 skill development programs. So starting out with where students are probably most focused on is, who do I get in touch with in order to get a job? So the problem is, I think students approach from this very transactional mindset. They're like, I need a job. I need to find somebody who can hire me. And it's like, okay, you're skipping a number of steps here. You're skipping, who to be interested in getting from advice or getting insights or recommendations from, and then letting it authentically and organically kind of develop from there. So what you need to do is identify people that could be either good directional indicators or potential mentors or sponsors or coaches, and then leverage your your skill set and your reciprocity and your communication abilities to really stand out from the rest of the pack and have them want to help you. So we really start with helping students actually identify on LinkedIn through some advanced tools that we have. Just say, okay, where are you like now? You are a college student who belongs to this fraternity, who grew up in this hometown, who volunteers at this, charity, and then where do you want to be? So let's go find the people that have those commonalities with you and then put you in touch with them and start telling you, okay, it's not just go on LinkedIn and get that directional guidance that people are providing as mentors. It's, okay, what do you say to these people? What should your outreach be in the first time, the second time, the third time? How do you build your resume? How do you interview? How do you present, storytell? So it's really a comprehensive guide for everything you're going to need in life after college.
It's a really interesting point you bring up, because I think that you would probably do a search for, career skill development programs and get millions of search results. So how do you pick one? But in reality, you probably would pick a couple of the links to start researching through and see similarities and a common thread. And, well, you need to make sure you fill in the blank with all these same things. Well, what you're talking about is, let's do some really deep dive searches for things that are relevant right now to where you want to go, and maybe even breaks out of the mold of what you typically would be told. Maybe even find like a peer mentor that has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and go, hey, let me just tell you, when I interviewed for a job in this sector, here's what I'm hearing right now. I got my job 6 months ago. Is that kind of some of the guidance that you're able to provide?
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point. Now, I think the distinction to be made is that there are a number of different platforms that promote mentorship. And I think that what we do is, while we do try to put you in touch with additional people in our network, and that skill set we're helping you craft as far as who to reach out to develop your own network, we are also building the skills. So those transferable, replicable, repeatable skills that you're going to need the rest of your life. So mentors, I feel like they'll give the directional guidance, as I was talking about earlier. And then, they'll also provide some variable advice. It's not very structured. There isn't really this recall or attention to detail of how are you developing. They just provide the advice. People either absorb it or not, and then it kind of, I don't want to say dies right there, but there's no reinforcement. There's no skill development. It's really just kind of, hey, go look at this or go do this. It's not like a structured program. So I think that's where we are the augmentation, where, okay, sure, mentorship is a very good start, but there are a lot of skills that you haven't been taught in high school and college that you're going to need in the professional world.
And what are you guys doing to make sure those skills are developed and not just, like you said, here's this download, go for it?
Yeah. So we have one-on-one individualized sessions for all the 11 skill areas. And we have this, all the work is already built out, and we tailor it to each student, depending on where they are at. And we walk them through, okay, so what do you say in a networking message? Okay, let's have you write 10 of them, and let's review them next session. And then we would give them feedback on those 10 networking outreaches. Then they would actually reach out to the people on LinkedIn. If they didn't get a response, what to say in a second message. So it is that, I don't want to say completely handheld, but it is a very hands-on approach. And we have different recall sessions. So if we teach you 20 productivity and time management tips, we'll say at the end, okay, let's flip over your notes and let's see how many you can recall within 10 minutes. And we'll start using some of the productivity maxims of like a Jim Quick or a Daniel Kahneman, and we'll say, okay, so here's how you can help yourself remember things to improve your long-term recall and eventually your action orientation and implementation.
I really love that, because it reminds me of the old saying, knowledge is power, and people are like, yeah, it sure is. And you're like, no, knowledge is potential power. You have to put it into action. So you could say, look at where you need to be, look at where you are coming out of the dorm room. So here's this wonderful website we have. Here's your username and password. You paid us your fee, and go learn. But in reality, did they really learn, or did they just gloss over it? So when you have one-on-one, group coaching, reinforcement, accountability, quizzing, I mean, to me, that is the ultimate of making sure that what is learned is actually retained and put into use.
Exactly. So that's what we're all about. And everything we have is structured in accordance with those productivity maxims. So a popular technique is called the Pomodoro technique. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah, like work for 20 minutes and take a 20-minute break or whatever time frames.
Yeah, it's 25 on, then 3 to 5 minutes off. So 25 minutes of work, 3 to 5 minutes off. So that's how we structure to kind of maximize that recency and latency, kind of the first and last things that you learned, and minimize that kind of U-shaped curve at the bottom where you're not maximizing that information. So 25 minutes, a lot of the studies say, is the best of how to teach, and that's the Pomodoro technique. So we'll do 25 minutes on, we'll take a 3 to 5 minute break where we'll have students, whatever they're comfortable with, either, do some jumping jacks or get a drink of water or yoga, meditation. So we'll kind of help them through those sessions of how to re-energize their mind to get ready for the next 25 minutes in a more interactive session where we're really doing some scenario planning or testing. And then we'll have, either a recall session or just kind of review the homework for next session.
And to me, this feels like if mom and dad bought this program and said, you need to go through this so that you can get into a great school and find a great major, kids roll their eyes and go, okay, I'll pop through it and I'm done. But in reality, this is, you've already gone through college, you're approaching graduation, you need to go get that best career job, and now you want to make sure you're going to get it. So now the sense of urgency is there, and who cares whether mom and dad pay for it or the student is paying for this, they're probably a whole lot more engaged and ready to implement, ready to learn. Is that what you're finding with your clients?
It depends. It's a really good point. So I think that the students that come in that are sophomores or juniors, they're saying, my colleagues aren't doing any of this. And I mean, unfortunately, I have to say there is this communication gap that has been really shown in not only my interactions, but we've also run some employer studies, so top technology, financial, and different consulting firms saying, where's the biggest gap today? What are you most in need of for college students? And they all come back. Number one answer is communication skills. People are lacking in it. Employers need it. So
well, you know why? Is because the texting and instant message technology we have, it's that quick little popcorn style, who cares about spelling? Isn't that a factor from your experience?
Absolutely. And it just makes the attention span so much shorter, and students are so accustomed to instant gratification and also not really taking a very introspective view of themselves because they've been getting, grade inflation is crazy right now. And then they don't have to really be tested quite as much on communication abilities. But it's the greatest way to distinguish yourself. So it is a weakness, I would say, as a society. But if you're good at it, it doesn't matter if you go to, Harvard or you go to Hartford or, you go to Hartford Community College. If you really are able to stick out and showcase your unique value proposition, employers are saying, hey, we don't care as much about GPA, school, and major these days. We care more about those transferable power skills, if you will, formerly. And
I will say this from my experience in business, and I teach marketing for universities for the last 10 years. So I have a finger on the pulse of students and mindset, right? You don't need to be the ultimate rock star in whatever that area, communication or messaging or whatever that skill is. You don't need to be at the top of the top of the top. Guess what you need to do? Just have a percentage better than everyone else, because even just that makes you stand out so much better. As an example, how many times have we all left a message for someone, sent an email, and it's just days and days and days it gets responded to, if it even gets responded to. But what if you are the one that received that email or that message, and right away, within hours, let's say, you're the one responding with succinct, concise, really powerful languaging, like, yes, I can do that, and here's what I feel the result will be, that kind of a thing. So that doesn't take skills. It's just staying on top of your schedule, and that ties to your productivity and time management. So I just feel like people don't need to set the expectation that I must be, a superhero. You just need to do some of the basic things pretty good, and that alone is going to make you stand out. Meet deadlines. How hard is that? Well, it means you need to be on top of your schedule. It means you need to know when things are due so that you turn it in even a little bit ahead of time, not at 11:59 if it's due at midnight.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. And like I said, it presents an opportunity for these students that's, what we would say is rather basic, or just kind of like you said, meeting a deadline or just writing an effective business email or communication. So those are all things we cover in the program. And it's amazing. You would think that, oh, okay, this student goes to Fordham, or this student goes to Yale or Columbia, whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, well, they're going to get this, right?
Yeah.
And my eyes are just really opened when I see that they're not getting it, no matter where they're really going. So certain programs are better than others, but I would say nobody's really getting everything they should. As I'm sure you've probably seen with the students that you have encountered. You're just like, how did this person get through all their presentations before me in college?
Well, you know what it is? It's what the phrase you used already, grade inflation. So at some point, a teacher in high school, a professor, just let things slide, and they let you turn in work, 2, 3, 4 weeks late. Oh, that's fine. And they inflated the grade, and you get this false sense of, whatever, that, oh, well, I'm a better student, that, I'm a good student. And in reality, you're doing them a disservice in life, and that institution is setting the stage for when they go on to, let's just say, graduate school, and they can't even get in, or their entrance essays are just a shambles. And now that higher education institution for graduate work is looking back at that undergrad program going, what in the world are they churning out? But more than that, it's a reflection on you as your character, and it sets the tone for what you will do, who you will be in that job. So these things you're teaching are spectacular, from time management to productivity to communication. All of these things, again, I feel like are so relevant to today. Makes me ask the question, why don't you just show me the 4 key pillars that I need to be good at? I'll Google it real quick, do a little polish, and I'm good to go. Why do I need you? So what is
exactly.
So let's go down that path.
Sure. So I think that obviously there's a plethora of information out there. The shortest answer is people aren't doing it. Of course, I mentioned Jim Quick and Daniel Kahneman earlier, and I can, talk about Tony Robbins, or I could talk about, like all of the best people, Robert Cialdini for Persuasion course. I could talk about all these different people, but you're probably not going to go out there and do it. And second of all, you're probably not going to be able to curate and collate and kind of consolidate all the learnings, which we've done across 150 different books and our expert coaches. So we've already done all that for you, which is a full-time job in and of itself. So I would say that curation, collation process is 90% of the battle. Doing one-off searches, you might learn things one at a time, but without the recall and reinforcements, and without the what's next step. And just students don't know what they don't know. So you've been taught by college to write these 10, 12-page reflection papers, whereas in the real world, they want to know 10 or 12 pages of content within, under 500 words. So it's kind of flipping everything you've learned on its head. So how can we expect students to really know that when some of these areas are the complete antithesis of what they've learned?
Well, and the other thing is, it reminds me, I mentioned the old saying, knowledge is power. Here's another one. What's easy to do is easy not to do. So it's easy to go Google whatever that is. And it's so easy that you don't do it. And then to your point, there's so much information that it's overwhelming. And then you're never going to aggregate it and put it all in the right order, in the right sequence. And then let's not forget about the final piece, which is, please hold my hand and guide me and keep me accountable, because I want to make sure that I'm spending my time wisely and I'm getting the effective, because why am I going to spend however long, right, per module, per topic, and not get the fullest, wring the best benefit out of this? So I think that ties everything in so well. So let's wrap up, Alex, with this. What's if someone is listening to this going, you know what, my student, or I'm a student getting ready to move into my career, I want to have these skills. What's the best way they can reach out, learn more, and maybe start their path to your through your process?
Yeah. So first of all, I wanted to say I loved your quote. I didn't get a chance to jump in there, but is that a Mike Saunders original, or is that something you picked up?
No, I forget who came up with that, and probably 4 people, swiped and adapted it. But just Google it. I'm sure you'll find many people, kind of like the old Zig Ziglar quote: "If you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll get what you want." Yeah. I'm sure he said it once, but did he originate? Who knows? But yeah, it is that concept of what is easy to do is easy not to do. And it really does get down to our personal integrity or our personal character. And in reality, if you take that quote and you pit it against other people going up against that job or whatever job, maybe what's easy to do is show up for the interview. But maybe what is more effective to do would be show up and say this and provide that and send a handwritten thank you note and all these little teeny other things that might be easy to do, but they're not getting done, but it helps you stand out. So yeah, I think that is such a huge mindset, and that ties in with, hey guys, I could take you through our whole program with 2 PDF downloads and say, you need to know this, compress it all into that. But that's easy. You need to have repetition and get it ingrained. Your brain's myelination with those synapses need to be firing and remembering and applying. So I just really like how you've laid out your process in your curriculum.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to add that quote. We always have an inspirational quote to start each one of our sections. I'm going to add that one. So thank you for that. But yeah, so to answer your last question about how to reach out, and also I think I missed a question or half a question earlier about, starting up and costs and things like that. So the good news is we're actually going out to corporations and colleges, our main vehicles. So for listeners who are trying to put the pressure on their alma maters or on, where their son or daughter's going, reach out to us and your administrators and advancement people, because we are taking on probably one more college through the end of the year. And if you're at a corporation, we do this as training programs too. So kind of defraying some of that cost or concern about starting up for individuals, we've gone out to the corporations and colleges. And people can reach out to us. On Instagram, we're at Are You Workforce Ready, all one word. On LinkedIn, we're at Commence, which is our company name. And then you can also reach out to me personally, Alex Dripchak, or my other co-founder, Tim Denman.
Excellent. Well, I will also have the URL for your main website in the show notes, all hot link to go to commenceyourcareer.com. So, Alex, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a real pleasure getting to know you.
It's a very enriching discussion. Thank you, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.